A Forbes magazine website article states that after legalizing marijuana in 2014, the state of Colorado pulled in $2 million in sales in January alone. However, around 49% of Americans remain unconvinced that legalizing marijuana is a step in the right direction for our country. Today, I will speak to you about the pros and cons of legalizing marijuana. I have researched this topic, and I have lived in a state where marijuana has been legalized for medical purposes. I have family and friends who live in states where marijuana is legal and distributed for recreational use. They have shared their experiences with me, both casually and in one formal interview. The legalization of marijuana is an important issue for our country right now, as at least 2 states have reversed the prohibition of marijuana for recreational use. The decision whether or not to legalize marijuana in the United States is a controversial issue, with arguments both for and against the decision, which I will discuss further in my speech. Many Americans might see marijuana as a laughable part of hippie or stoner subculture, but what they may not realize is that the uses of marijuana vary widely and do not necessarily involve its consumption. Cannabis is a plant that can be beneficial in commercial use, medical use, and recreational use. Hemp is a substantially feasible commercial commodity. As stated in an article called 5 Ways Hemp Will Change Our World, hemp can be used to make fabric, paper, biodiesel fuel, environmentally friendly building materials, and as a nutritional supplement, providing the body with important fibers as well as omega and fatty acids. However, according to globalhemp.com, the United States classifies all cannabis products as marijuana, a Schedule I controlled substance. Anyone who wishes to grow hemp for industrial purposes must register with and be approved by the Drug Enforcement Administration. They must complete extensive paperwork and prove that proper security measures are taken to ensure that their crops will not be used for non-industrial purposes. Laws written to allow average farmers to cultivate recreational hemp have consistently failed to be passed. Marijuana has also helped those suffering from chronic ailments and from side effects of harsh pharmaceuticals. Marijuana has been proven to be beneficial in helping those with ailments such as depression, anxiety, chronic pain, and Crohn's disease. Marijuana has often been used to nullify the effects of harsh but necessary medications, says Dr. Sirkis in his book Medical Marijuana. One major example of this has been its use to alleviate nausea in cancer patients after they have undergone radiation therapy. The recreational use of marijuana promotes pleasant moods and positive outlooks on life. In an interview with a friend, Allison, who smokes marijuana daily, the friend said that if she is stressed about a situation or a certain dilemma, that smoking marijuana helps her to be able to take a step back and to assess the situation and possible solutions calmly so that she doesn't make any rash decisions. The same friend says that marijuana has lessened her social anxiety and that when she is under the influence of marijuana, she's more open with those around her and she's more likely to start a conversation and get to know different people. She feels that marijuana has positively changed her outlook on life. The possibilities for the use of cannabis as a commercial commodity, a medicine, and a recreational resource have been and continue to be researched and documented. Despite its versatility and its benefits, some Americans believe that when it comes to legalizing cannabis, the risks may outweigh the benefits. Now I will discuss with you the cons of legalizing marijuana. Some risks involved in using marijuana include possible developmental issues, physical impairment while under the influence, and possible changes in emotional receptiveness and personality. Teens who use marijuana are exposed to abnormal changes in brain structure and problems in developmental working memory. Studies have noted in frontiersin.com suggest that teens who use marijuana expose themselves to abnormal changes in brain structure and changes in development of working memory. In an interview referenced earlier, the young woman who was interviewed, an 18-year-old, noted that sometimes after she smokes marijuana, she has a hard time pulling thoughts from her short-term memory. She says that sometimes it will take a couple minutes to remember certain people's names, or that she might lose her train of thought. Marijuana negatively affects motor skills and the ability to safely operate a motor vehicle. According to hightimes.com, when citizens drive high, their reaction times are slower, peripheral vision is decreased, and multitasking is impeded. Considering these facts, we know that stopping for an out-of-place pedestrian or stopping to avoid a car in front of us who has suddenly braked could be much more difficult for those under the influence of marijuana. In an interview with a friend who has been driving for 8 years, the friend states that she has driven high a handful of times, and though she did not feel like she was incapacitated or unable to drive safely, she has at times caught her mind wandering or found herself distracted and has been unsure if she was able to devote 100% of her attention to the road. Frequent and/or long-term marijuana users sometimes experience difficulty expressing emotions and face unprecedented anger issues. According to Treating Addiction, A Guide for Professionals by William R. Miller, Alyssa A. Forsheims, and Alan Zweben, intoxication usually induces a sense of well-being, although higher doses can amplify negative emotions. I have known 2 people, one a close friend and one a coworker, who have smoked marijuana multiple times per day and have had high levels of anxiety, paranoia, have been easily angered, and this, along with other evidence, has led me to believe that marijuana can lead to emotional and anger-related issues. For the reasons mentioned, along with additional possible concerns, nearly half of Americans support the continued prohibition of marijuana. As it stands, the majority of states have not passed laws decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana. A little over half of Americans believe that marijuana should be legalized, while just under 50% agree with its illegal status. We may continue to see changing opinions as there is more research and more education on both sides of the fence. Though the federal government still deems the sale and use of recreational marijuana to be illegal, it is clear that the American people have their own opinions on the matter, and that we will likely continue to vote either for or against the legalization of marijuana in the United States. Marijuana is a product which we must consider could contribute to the United States in the areas of medicine, industrialism, and recreational use.